I want to turn to the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. What is your view of this war?
I think when you call it a war, you're doing a disservice to the people who are having their limbs blown off by some of the most advanced technical weaponry on the planet. It is a genocide and it is disgusting. And it doesn't matter which side of the political spectrum you fall on. When you observe a genocide in front of your very eyes, you should be disgusted.
Which side is waging genocide?
The Israelis are genociding the Palestinians, and you know it as well as everybody else does.
I don't know that.
Well, then it seems like your bosses are not allowing you to know it.
What
perhaps.
do you think of what Hamas did on October the 7th?
Why are you starting the story in the middle, Piers?
didn't. I just asked you about the wider war. I'm now asking you specifically about Hamas.
I cannot professionally answer that question without talking about the context that led up to October 7th.
Well, nothing, to my mind, justifies what happened on October the 7th.
Nothing justifies what happened before October the 7th, Piers. This is the exact point. So you're talking to a man, I don't know what answer you expect from me, because let's forget the fact that I'm a Muslim. You're talking to a man who is fighting oppression to the best of his ability because he believes that the people in charge of the world are enslaving us all, to the point where I detriment my own life. I end up in a jail cell because I'm speaking against oppression. Then you're asking me what I would do if my family was blown to pieces.
You're not in a jail. Hang on.
You're asking me what I would do if another government came along and blew my family to pieces?
You weren't put in a jail cell because of any oppression.
Absolutely I was.
No, you weren't.
Of course
you
I
were
was.
put in jail cell because you've been accused of serious sexual crimes.
I would not have been accused if I was not monumentally successful in speaking the truth.
Let me ask you again. It's a simple question. Some people can answer it straight away.
This shit's gonna be good, bro. Wow, this been the first minute has all been entertaining. It has been very entertaining. I've seen Andrew take with a lot of energy, but I've never seen him like really yell before.
Is this weird?
He's passionate about
You've never
this
seen him yell before?
I have. Like he's just like he talks loud sometimes, but he's like
he's angry about this.
Like.
Yeah, he passionate.
He definitely feels a type of way for sure.
He been hot.
Asking me what I would do if another government came along and blew my family to pieces?
You weren't put in a jail cell because of any oppression.
Absolutely I was.
No, you weren't.
Of course
you
I
were
was.
put in jail cell because you've been accused of serious sexual crimes.
I would not have been accused if I was not monumentally successful in speaking the truth.
Let me ask you again. It's a simple question. Some people can answer it straight away, including pro-Palestinians people I've had on my program. Many are very quick to say absolutely. Do you believe Hamas are a terror organization?
And that's a very interesting question, but I think you're peddling asininities.
Well, just answer the question.
Can somebody do me a favor? Google asininities and find out if it's a word.
I know what it means.
If it's not, make sure it's added to Webster on top G orders.
Okay. Are they a terror group?
You're peddling asininities because I'll tell you why, Piers. Let me answer.
No, I'm not.
Of course you are.
It's a simple question.
That's like me asking.
I'll tell you why I asked. Because the UK, where you were born, prescribes Hamas as a terror organization.
They also prescribe me as dangerous to children in schools. Let me explain something to you, Piers.
You're not prescribed as that.
If I were to sit here and
this
say...
This is good. I do want to say one thing, though. After seeing a video on Twitter... When I seen on October the 7th, when Hamas came back into the West, I don't know if it was Gaza. Yes, it was Gaza.
And I seen celebrating.
Yes, and I seen those Palestinian adults celebrating and beating a raped woman and a man that was in a trunk, beating them literally, jumping on the trunk, trying to harm the person that was probably already dead or knocked out. I'm not gonna say I changed my side of it, but it was just like it changed my
How
view.
do you justify that?
Yeah, it changed my view a lot of it. Cause like even if you guys were harmed, like I said in the past videos,
celebrating the harm that you caused.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, we can't say that all Jews harmed you guys. You know, it's probably the government that harmed the Jewish or Israel government.
Like that person in the back of that truck, did they specifically do anything?
Yeah, like can you guys? That's what I'm saying. It's like that's kind of.
But you gotta really, but you know, they probably believe that they support them and everything they doing.
Well, that's true too. But that's kind of like you can't kind of justify that, you know.
Well,
as a human, you can't.
But you remember in what was it? Osama bin Laden letter, he said y'all voted and supported them, so
that
they
was
feel.
US, though.
Well,
you know, but I'm just saying, if they look at it in that type of way,
I just can't. You know? I just like me. Period. I can't like justify any innocent people being hurt. I just can't.
I can't justify innocent people being hurt, and I can't justify that video of them celebrating what Hamas did.
Yeah, you can't. You know, and I'm like, saying openly.
When you see that they were like celebrating and stuff, like it kind of is like, well, this is why what's happening to you is happening. You were happy that they did what they did, so you can't cry when they retaliate.
Yeah,
that's how I see it.
No, that video didn't mess me up.
But I do think what's happening is bad.
Yeah.
I
think it was a history.
I'm not going to sit here and justify either.
Because I remember them when y'all said they were on feet now.
Yeah, no, they have like soldiers in the West Bank and Gaza. I don't know if it's West Bank or Gaza. I just been seeing. I don't know which one at all, but I have seen soldiers. I've seen Israel soldiers like going into the hospital and like showing like shell casings.
Yeah,
I've
seen those.
So
Yeah.
they're on foot, and I've seen a tank also.
Explain something to you, Piers.
You're not
if I were to
prescribed
sit,
this
if
stuff.
I were to sit here and say, is stealing wrong? And you'd say yes, and I go, but what if the person stealing is trying to feed their family, and if they don't, their family are going to die? Is it still wrong? You're trying to take a very nuanced and complicated argument and reduce it down to one sentence, which is failure.
You're trying to equate stealing with a mob of terrorists breaking over a border, going to peaceful...
Is that what Israel did?
Wait a minute.
A mob of terrorists
breaking over
a
let me finish.
and killing people.
Going through a border on October the 7th.
Oh, October the 7th.
Massacring young people at a festival, massacring families in their homes, but setting fire to them, cutting their heads off, killing babies.
Oh, killing 40 babies, that was true.
Well, fine.
Were the babies vaccinated?
Why are you being flippant?
I'm not being flippant. The point I am making...
I find that funny.
No, but the point I am making is that the media lies, firstly. Secondly...
I can ask you about different things at the same time, right?
Sure.
So I'm asking you, first of all, specifically, what is your reaction to what happened on October the 7th?
Sure. I'll answer the question professionally. I do not condone the loss of human life on either side.
Yes.
I think anybody doing anything which directly damages civilians is disgusting and abhorrent.
Yes.
However, I would be an amateur if I could not sit and pretend I do not understand the motivations behind either side. This is not even me taking a side. I understand why Israel is doing what it's doing. I understand why Palestine is doing what it's doing. However, I still call the Israeli actions absolutely abhorrent and genocidal.
Okay, we're going to come to Israel's actions. I promise you. We will ask that question specifically. But in terms of what Hamas did on October the 7th, do you accept that was an act of terrorism?
It's an interesting question because
once again, not really.
It is.
It's a very straightforward
question.
question.
Because you're the person who would have called Nelson Mandela a terrorist while he was still in jail, and one person's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter.
I wouldn't have
For me to
that.
answer the question, yes, you would have. For me to answer the question, I have to be very professional, Piers. For me to sit on the outside in Romania with no personal involvement in Israel-Palestine, it's easy for me to say yes, it was an act of terror. However, if I was in Gaza, if I was in an open-air prison, if my family had been annihilated by bombs from the sky, if everybody I knew had suffered the loss of a loved one, if I had no chance of any kind of freedom or democracy or standard of life, would I believe it was an act of terror, or would I believe it's an act of resistance against oppression? You have to be very careful how you answer these questions.
So what do you think?
I think I understand what happens when you take people and put them in such an inhumane condition. For anybody to sit and say that you're going to take people and put them in absolutely inhumane conditions and give them no standard of life, and they're not allowed to ever fight back, or they are terrorists.
But I can agree with you.
Anyone who does that is an amateur.
I can agree with you.
What'd you say?
That happened to the Jews in the Holocaust.
Yeah, it did.
Just saying.
You know, both sides have probably been through a lot of terror. I feel bad for both sides.
I'm trying to be side, y'all go eat me up. Y'all go,
you know,
hey, I hate that nigga. I hate that nigga right there.
It happened to us too. It happened to a lot of, happened to a lot of cultures. So
anybody to sit and say that you're going to take people and put them in absolutely inhumane conditions and give them no standard of life, and they're not allowed to ever fight back, or they are terrorists.
But I can agree with you.
Anyone who does that is an amateur.
I can agree with you that the plight of the Palestinians for many decades has been absolutely shameful.
So what did we think was going to happen, Piers?
No, nothing justifies what happened on October the 7th.
So what are they supposed to do?
Nothing.
So what are they supposed to do?
That was an act of medieval barbaric terrorism. Nothing justifies it.
Did they suffer acts of medieval? Did they suffer acts of medieval barbaric terrorism before that date? Yes. And it's unfortunately an eye for an eye in this world. I'm not condoning. I'm being a professional and answering to you why it happened.
Give me one example of where Israel, without any provocation, went into... a specific question. Went into Gaza and massacred 1,500 innocent people, cutting their heads off, taping and boasting about what they'd done back to their families in Israel, kidnapping Holocaust survivors, bringing them, they wouldn't have, of course, done that in their case, kidnapping old grandmothers and bringing them back to Israel, kidnapping babies, kidnapping children. When has Israel actually gone in and done something on the scale of October the 7th?
There's literally endless examples of that.
Give me one.
In 2014, they were bombing civilians.
But if Andrew Tate was saying, like, this started all before this and that, whoop de whoop. If you go through his tweets, was he hollering about this before all this happened? Bet he wasn't. He got all this money. Why he don't help him? You said you was Muslim. You said out your own mouth I've seen you say that you was a Christian when you was in Romania. So if you say you're a Christian and you're a Muslim, like, what are you for real? Like, I don't know.
I mean, he's just argument. He's a great debater. At the same time, he might go over there and they might kill him.
I ain't gonna lie.
If he goes over there, they're gonna kill him.
I'm keeping it real. I think Piers is. I'm giving him so far. Piers has been standing on.
I feel like Andrew Tate is yelling.
Great debaters. I think
Piers been pretty calm.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, he's
Both
making
good
jokes and
debaters.
stuff. I feel like the jokes kind of take away from the seriousness of your argument.
And is it Israel?
But Bassem did it, so
No, Bassem did it in
He made more points. He was actually like
crazy
making
way.
clear
No,
points.
that's true. That's
He's
true.
just making them in just like
Kidnapping Holocaust survivors, bringing them, they wouldn't have, of course, done that in their case, but kidnapping old grandmothers and bringing them back to Israel, kidnapping babies, kidnapping children. When has Israel actually gone in and done something of the scale of October the 7th?
There's literally endless examples of that.
Give me one.
In 2014, they were bombing civilians.
No,
And
no.
You know what, Piers? Let me tell you something.
I'm not talking
an
about.
expert. No,
I'm not
let me
talking
answer.
about what
Piers,
they
let
would
me talk.
categorise as retaliation for rocket strikes, and there's an arguable point. As there is, for example, I'm vehemently against the expansion of the settlements on the West Bank. I think there are legitimate questions about the proportionality of Israel's response here.
Yeah,
but in
question.
But in terms of what Hamas perpetrated on October the 7th, there is no instance of Israel doing that to the people of Gaza. And you have to accept that. If you don't accept that, you're either deluded or you're deliberately not wanting to say the obvious, which is that was an act of terrorism, because you're concerned about upsetting people in Palestine. Is that the case?
Let me go back to my first point when I said you're peddling asininities. The reason I said that is because to look at a situation, no matter how heinous, and to ignore all of the context and pretend that you do not understand why said situation happened
Nothing justifies terrorism on that scale. Nothing.
Is asinine.
No, it's not.
Because it's not about justification.
Let me tell you why.
Piers, it's not about justification.
Let me tell you. No,
it's about understanding the realities of the world.
Let me tell you the reality of the world. Hamas came to power in 2005. Hamas's initial founding charter made it clear that they are for the eradication of Israel. And on October the 7th, they proved what that means is they will kill every Jew they can get their hands on. They are an existential threat to people in Israel and to Jewish people. And that is, I'm afraid, the purest personification of a terror group. I also think by doing what they did, as they have done since 2005, they weren't representing innocent Palestinian people in Gaza.
Who are suffering
they,
now.
They knew, yes, but Hamas knew when they did what they did that Israel would respond the way they did and that thousands of innocent Palestinians would get killed.
They
knew that, and they still did
care.
it. So my question for you is, why can't you, which is my position on this, is very straightforward. What Hamas did was an act of terror, an absolutely despicable act of terror, and should be called exactly what it is. And they are now demonstrably a terrorist group. That is why they were rightly prescribed that by the UK and America and other countries. And to try and pretend they're not makes you sound like Jeremy Corbyn. And I can't think of a worse insult to throw at you, right?
Damn.
I don't think me and Corbyn agree on
but
that.
I also think there are legitimate questions to come about the way Israel's responded. We can come to that. But I just want to ask you one more time.
He just dropped so many
Is
facts
what
on
Hamas did on October the 7th an act of terrorism?
I think, Piers, it is peddling asininities for you to pretend that enslaving
You sound
people...
like Jeremy Corbyn.
No,
Then
let
why
me
he won't
the
answer the
15
question though?
times.
I think
He
Piers
refused
is
to
cooking his
Why
I've
don't
never
answer
seen
the
this
question?
happen to
I'm
him.
not refusing.
You're now
If you
about
look-
3 or 4.
If you look...
Are they a terror group or not?
They're one team's freedom fighter, and they're deemed a terrorist
What do
group.
you think?
I think that if you lock people in an open-air prison and steal their land, they're going to retaliate.
So they're not a terror group.
I think they're going to retaliate.
They're not a terror group.
One team's terrorist is another
Okay, we're
team's
now
freedom
talking
fighter.
about
won't say either
Are
one.
they a terror group?
And also...
Yes
another
or
thing-
Say yes or no, bro.
Only Jeremy Corbyn has done this.
Done what?
Refused
saying
to
no.
answer the question.
No,
I
he,
think that
yeah,
what
he
they
just
are
basically
doing
said no. By not
is
saying
seemingly
yes, I don't know.
deemed
I'm
an
not going
act
to say
of
silence
terror
violence,
by
but
the
like,
people that the
I
terror...
don't use Weasley words.
he's not trying to
definitely
say-
saying no right now.
He's not trying.
He's definitely
I've
not
never
trying to-
seen
Chris asked that
nobody-
question so
3,
many
4,
times.
5, 6
and a lot
times.
of people that stand with Palestine that come has
They'll
come on
say
the
yes.
show.
They'll still say yes.
Not a lot of them, bro.
What's his name did it?
No, I think he's standing against
The dude?
He was just like, he
Bassem
was
didn't say that?
basically doing
Against
the
him.
same thing he was doing, but he was doing it better than what.
I thought
Nobody is saying yes or no.
How the hell can you not say that that is a fact? How the hell can you not say that to me?
Because, you know-
like that doesn't mean that's not saying anything wrong with Palestine. It's saying Hamas themselves, only Hamas, only Hamas, only Hamas. It's a terrorist group. I don't see like that's
This is
not
his point.
hard.
Some people walk in our home, they lock us in this room for a year.
It's different, bro. That's
We
different.
come out the room and we see, I don't know, 20 people. And we got guns in here. We might shoot everybody. That's what he's basically
That's
saying.
different. That's not like
Okay, so I got a
It's
question.
kind of, it is like that.
Will you
It's
call
not
the
like
Black
that,
Panthers
bro.
a
So how is
terrorist
that not
group
like that?
if they
It's
went
not
to
How is that not
house
like
to
that?
house?
Hold on. How is that not like that, bro?
because you're in your house.
Okay, I'm just talking about being trapped in one area.
Okay, so why won't anyone else take them if they're from the same religion?
That is the biggest question.
There's 40 Muslim countries over there.
I think they won't take them, bro, because you don't know.
And no one this whole time. They said it's been so bad since before October 7th. So why didn't they take it before October 7th if it's so bad?
I think because they think they're extremists and they're terrorists, probably, yeah.
So if everyone, even people from their own religion, think that they are a terrorist group, Hamas, not talking about Palestine, Hamas, specifically Hamas. If there's Palestinian people saying Hamas, is
No,
terrorism.
nobody wants to take Hamas. We're talking about the Palestinian people. They don't want to
Bro,
take
but,
regular
like, there's
Palestinian
no-
people because they probably
They
don't
don't
have
have
Hamas.
signs.
In Gaza, like you can't tell
Exactly.
who's Hamas and who's not.
Yeah,
you
I
saw
know.
you saw them celebrating Hamas and
Yeah.
what they did.
Keep
You
it
saw
100. I wouldn't take their ass either
Okay, so then,
because I don't know
so
who's who and what type of terror.
So you wouldn't take them because why?
Because
there's
might
a
be
terrorist group
terrorist.
among them.
But we found out some of them are in the UK.
But all I'm saying
there's
is
an
that
imposter among
my
us.
only argument is I'm saying is Hamas is a terrorist group, and I say 100% yes they are.
I think so too.
I would
That's
agree.
all I'm saying.
I think so too. But some people that really know the history behind it, they think that they can justify it in different ways. That's what people are
Well,
trying
they started out as a
There's like the same thing he
resistance
said with the Black
organization.
Panther thing almost, but the Black Panthers didn't go kill 1,500 white people. If they did, they would be a terrorist group.
That's why Yusuf did a great job because he broke down kind of the
Right.
history of it. So
The
he made me feel-
KKK, that was a terrorist group.
yeah,
For sure.
definitely.
Was and is.
It was
Not
it is.
the Nazis, terrorist group.
And we formed a group against that, but it wasn't Hamas though. Hamas is done.
I'm gonna keep it
Way
100.
worse than what
Black
the Black
Lives
Panthers
Matter
did.
was almost.
Come on, bro. No, not on Hamas level,
right,
bro.
nah,
Nothing's on Hamas level, bro.
They was burning.
Nah,
He
nah,
watched
nah,
Kill
cities
innocent people.
burn.
I could never
1,500
justify that.
to how? What's the score on that?
I would never justify
Black Lives Matter
innocent
didn't-
people die.
Nah, hell
but
no.
what I
I
can
think
say
terror
is,
group is
if
terror
if
group
somebody
is when you
boxed us in a
destroy-
cage and was sitting there outside the cage laughing at us, and we got a 9 here, and we looking at the time going down, and we got finna be out.
That's not a
we
good
not
example.
finna come out there and blow everybody down.
That's not a good example.
Bro, he's saying that
You,
they've been
you
trapped.
justified it. Basically, you saying you saying it's self-defense, not terror. That's what you sitting here saying. Because you give an example of self-defense. So you just say, is it self-defense or are they a terrorist group?
I'm not saying that it's self-defense. I'm not saying that people are gonna have a guns with us. I'm saying that they trapped us in there, right?
You
And
would be
then-
defending yourself
and
if
then
that was the
they
case.
they open the gate and then you have a gun and they're just sitting there. What are you gonna do? And you've been
That's
trapped and
different.
starved.
That is not the same.
How is
at
it
all.
not?
That is
I'm just
apples
putting
to
you in the
oranges like
position
a
of what
bug.
you would do.
That is apples to
Bro,
oranges,
hey, bro, okay, look up the
Self-defense
definition. Look up
or-
the
It's not
definition of a
self-defense
terrorist
though,
group,
bro.
bro.
Bro, but going and killing 1,500 people and being locked in cage and let out is a completely.
Bro,
like, what
look
is
up
that?
the definition of a
He's
terrorist
kind of saying that
group.
they felt like they've been
Look up a
locked in.
definition of a terrorist group so you can really get this.
Yeah, let's just
definition.
Google that alone. Just
That will show you what is a terrorist group, my brother. It is terror, destruction.
Bro, I said they was a terrorist group. I'm not
No,
arguing
you're
that.
not.
I just said they was a terrorist
Yeah,
group.
he did say
I
that.
said they
But
were a
then you
terrorist
turn
group.
around and
But then
double
I
back.
said these people are arguing that they're not
No,
because
I know what the
what they
argument
have
is. I
been-
know,
what
yeah.
this-
They said that they did the terror because they were oppressed. That's what
Yes.
they're saying. And I can't justify what they did from that. I can't.
Black people have not done anything on that level, but I mean, we've been in slavery. They're basically saying that these people are. They're not enslaved though. They're not beaten. But I don't know.
How
We
many
don't
years
know
was
what-
black people in
Well,
slavery?
they said they have been committing genocide against their people, so.
I mean, bro, we know what a terrorist is, bro. They are.
Those
It's a
are read the
terrorist group, bro.
definition, though.
It's a terrorist group, bro.
All right.
We know that.
And that's it then. That's all. That was my whole argument.
I'm
So
not refusing.
You're now
If you
about
look-
3 or 4.
If you look,
Are they a terror group or not?
they're one team's freedom fighter, and they're deemed a terrorist
What do
group.
you think?
I think
I
that
can
if
see
you
they
lock
can be
people
a
in an
freedom
open-air
fighter
prison
on
and
the
steal
other
their
side.
land, they're going to retaliate.
So they're not a terror
So
group.
they
I
stole
don't
the
know
Another
land.
one's eyes.
They're not a terror
It
group.
just said they
One
stole the
team's
land.
terrorist is
Okay,
another
we're now up
freedom
to about
fighter.
8. Are they a terror group?
And also, another thing I want to make clear to you.
Only
Nobody's gonna
Jeremy
answer
Corbyn
that.
Say
has
yes or
done
no,
this.
brother.
It's not gonna answer.
Refuse to answer the question.
I think that what they are doing is seemingly deemed an act of terror by the people that the terror.
Don't use Weasley words.
They're not Weasley. Of course, the Israelis think they're a terror group, and of course, the Palestinians think
Actually,
they're freedom fighters.
most
It's
of the-
stupid that you're asking the question.
Most of
because
the
Could they be
civilized
considered
world
Robin
thinks they're
Hood?
a terror group who committed an act of terrorism. It's not difficult. What they did was an act of terrorism.
And I think that if Israel continues to
I'm gonna
conduct
come to-
acts of
I'm
terrorism
going to come-
on the Palestinian people, they're going to do nothing
I'm
but
gonna
strengthen the reaction.
well, that's a different conversation I'm about to have with you about Israel's response. But before I get there, one more time, is Hamas a terror group who committed an act of terrorism?
Yes. Just
I
say
think
yes.
that when you lock people in an open air prison, you're going to
Okay, you're not gonna answer.
retaliation.
He thinks
No,
he's
because
not
I have to.
He's
There's
not gonna
people who
answer,
are
bro.
first things I want to say,
If you
Piers.
don't mind me saying, I think it's spineless.
Sure.
I do.
That's fine.
You sound like Jeremy Corbyn.
He won't take a stand.
Did you see my interview with him?
No.
Right, 15
the hell is
times
Jeremy
last
Corbyn?
week,
We might need to
I
watch
asked
it.
him the same question. 15 times he prevaricated and wouldn't answer. Eventually, when someone does that enough times, you know what they really think.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
don't think they're a
Well,
terror
well,
group.
let me answer.
You don't
without
think
being
they're a terror
interrupted.
group.
No, what I think is this. On certain
Because I'd be
scenarios,
really curious what you think an act of terror is if it's not massacring 1,500 innocent people,
It's not
including Holocaust survivors,
Piers.
kidnapping babies, decapitating
Piers.
people, cutting their limbs
Piers.
off, raping women.
yeah, talk about missing limbs. We're going to talk about that when we talk about what
We
Israel
are,
have done.
but
So
when we
let's-
get there, it'll be in the context of you not admitting that was an act of terror.
Well, let me answer the question for the final time. I am a realist. And as a realist, sometimes you do not come to the conclusion of labeling good guys and bad guys. The world is not black and white.
Hamas are bad guys.
No, the world is not black and white. The world is actually very gray. Anybody who sits and thinks there's clearly
Nothing
a
grey
good
about
guy,
what- there's nothing grey about what Hamas did.
and clearly a bad guy does not understand how the world works. And as a realist, what you do is you look at scenarios and you understand why they happen, how unfortunate they are, how unfortunate the loss of human life is, how civilians die on both sides, how innocents are dying in a chess game played by the elites on both sides. Both sides
agree
are
with
innocent
that.
people who didn't even vote for the person making the decisions, who are ensuring their death, signing their death warrants. It's unfortunate on both sides.
Okay.
But listen, sir, you would not advocate Russia doing any of the things to Ukraine that Israel is doing to Palestine. You would not sit here.
Russia has been doing exactly that.
Russia
to
has
Ukraine.
not done a fraction of the things to Ukraine that Israel has done to Palestine.
Russia illegally invaded a sovereign democratic country and has committed a barbaric rampage, trying to seize as much of Ukraine as it can.
It's a good example, though.
Bombing maternity hospitals,
Let me ask you a
killing
question.
innocent women
Let me
and
ask you a
children.
question.
There was
Right?
bombing
Don't
hospitals in
even try and have
Ukraine?
some kind of
No,
what
this
was
is
going on?
genuine.
Ain't nobody crying for them no more.
A Hamas rocket, a tiny Hamas rocket that can make a pothole in the road, and then they get hit back with cruise missiles. Let me ask you a question. Ukraine sent a drone and hit the
different,
Kremlin. A drone attack. It did nothing. It damaged some shingles. If Russia decided to then respond with a missile attack on a hospital and annihilate
It is.
800 people,
It has been.
do you think that would be allowed?
That's exactly what it has been.
Would you advocate for
seen,
that?
Have you seen?
Would you support that
Have
reaction?
you seen the state of Mariupol, which
you-
they leveled to the ground?
The Ukrainians did level it.
The
You're
Russian,
correct.
No, the Russians.
2014.
The
Get with
Russians
the program.
leveled Mariupol.
And my question to you is, would you advocate those reactions? Let me ask you another question, Piers.
No,
This is a genuine
okay.
question. Let me ask you a question, because I want to understand your point
it's
of view.
actually my interview of you.
Yeah,
so
but you tried to understand mine. I just want to understand your point of view. If I believed, or if Israel believed, that one of the people in your house was
All
a
this
terrorist
hypothetical
and
ass
decided to destroy your entire house and kill your entire family, would you sit and say, well, maybe there was a terrorist inside, I accept that? Or would you be enraged? Genuine question.
I don't think you can take an individual person's response.
Well, it's a bunch of individual people in Gaza.
Yeah,
They're
sure.
people, individuals with
All right,
thoughts and
let's come-
dreams and aspirations
Fine.
which are being annihilated. 15-year-old girls without legs because
Fine.
of cruise missiles.
Let's come to
they are
that.
individual people.
Let's
They're
come-
not cattle, Piers.
Let's come to
They're
that.
people.
Right, and so were the people in Israel on October the 7th.
And that's
very
why it's so
passionate.
heinous, which
Right.
is my exact point.
But not
It's
heinous enough
entertaining.
to reach your bar of terrorism. Let's
not
move on.
about
Let's
reaching
move,
bar of
let's
terrorism.
move
Because
on.
both sides have points, I
Understanding
can't
why
lie.
things happen.
By not saying
hard.
it, you've made your position clear, just as Jeremy Corbyn did. And to pretend you're any different is ridiculous. Let's move on to Israel's response.
This is what I
Because there are
wanna hear.
legitimate questions about this. Hamas embeds itself, 40,000 terrorists in my estimation. You can call them whatever you like. And they're embedded amongst the civilian population, predominantly in northern Gaza. We know from intelligence over the last 20 years, which you won't believe because the Matrix has made it all up.
Correct.
But we know from intelligence that historically Hamas likes to embed itself, particularly around things like schools and hospitals and mosques, because that makes it more difficult if the Israelis attack.
Yeah.
Now, Israel has killed nearly 12,000 people in its response, right? There are many people around the world demanding a ceasefire who think that is a ridiculously disproportionate response
genocide.
to what happened. Well, it was genocide. They would want to kill everyone in Palestine. They don't.
They just want to drive them all out.
Whereas Hamas do want to kill every Jew. That is actually what genocide is.
You know what's actually interesting? Because you've spoken about this subject with people more who actually understand the conflict better than I do. Mohammed Hijab understands it better. Low-key understands it better. I'm talking from a very general humanistic perspective because I don't understand the absolute intricacies like they do.
Do you know what genocide means?
Of course I do.
Right. Genocide means you want to eradicate an entire people based on race or ethnicity. Israel clearly doesn't want to do that to the Palestinians.
I don't know about that. They said they wanted to level it to the ground, didn't they? Isn't that what they said?
Now, there are arguments about whether
To attack them as
I
they
thought that was
move.
Nikki
well,
Haley.
some people got
I
hit
thought they
as they
said
moved.
Oh, some people got hit.
Yes.
Some people got hit.
You know what,
You know
Andrew?
what?
Somebody said that someone on the Israel side said
I
that.
thought
So
we
don't know if that was
saw. I
for
thought we
sure.
saw a video where they said like
being
they're not worried
superhero.
about accurate strikes. They just worried about like
that was
destroying.
Somebody
being-
said that. Somebody said
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, I
they
think
said
that was.
Oh, that
We
wasn't
didn't hear
a
anybody
confirmed
on
source?
Israel's side say that.
That
We
wasn't
didn't
a
know
confirmed
that.
source.
Yeah, it
Oh,
was
I thought
somebody
that-
that said.
I thought that was a confirmed
Nigga
source.
said,
Oh,
Yeah, it was
my
a-
mistake.
Somebody
Yeah.
said-
I think it was Ben or Nikki. That's what I thought it was. That's what
Well,
sounds
they was
familiar.
talking about that was in response to Iran. That's what Nikki was talking about.
So then it probably had to been Ben because I remember Ben said,
I thought
"Get rid of all of them.
I
Keep
thought we
blowing
said,
them
I
up."
thought we said saw somewhere where they said they weren't worried about accuracy of the strikes. They were just worried about destroying it all.
that's what I did. He was saying, like, somebody said to Israel, that was their plan.
Oh, okay.
I feel like I remember that though.
Happens.
You know what, Andrew?
Wait till it's your son.
You know what?
Wait till it's your son.
I agree. And you know what, Andrew? War is horrific. It's horrific. The question is it a just war for Israel to go after Hamas? And if it is, and you believe as I do, Hamas has to be got rid of, how do you do that? If you don't do it the way Israel is doing it, how do you get rid of that terror group? Now, you won't agree with anything they're doing because you can't even categorize them as a terror group.
No, the reason I won't agree with them is because I'm a human, Piers. And please let me answer this without being interrupted. You didn't answer my earlier question for a reason because you knew that you couldn't answer it without proving my point. The question about the fact that if they decided to cruise missile your house because they thought somebody inside was a terrorist, you would not accept the loss of your family that you have raised. You would not accept that.
Of course I wouldn't.
Okay, absolutely. So let me answer this as a professional. What's funny is I'm a humanist. Like I said,
a professional what, by the way?
The professional.
What
Please
does
let me
that
answer.
What are you? What are you speaking? You say you're speaking to professional.
And I'm talking about just from a humanistic perspective, right? And like I said, you've talked to people more knowledgeable than me on the details of the subject.
Right.
But listen to me very carefully. I thought we lived in a democratic society. You just said 35,000 Hamas terrorists, and this is the thing that's most upsetting to me. This is what genuinely upsets me. Israel intelligence will say a guy's a Hamas terrorist. Has that guy gone to a court of law? Has there been a democratic process? Has he been proven to be a terrorist? No. They've just decided from their intelligence that couldn't see an invasion coming from hundreds of miles away. So this intelligence is
actually no.
It's not great. So they've decided this person might be in intelligence without court case, without any kind of democratic process, and because of that, they've decided to annihilate civilians along with him, and it's all just collateral damage, and nobody should care. That is not a humanistic perspective. And that is disgusting. And any from their intelligence that couldn't see an invasion coming from hundreds of miles away. So this intelligence is actually it's not great.
No.
So they've decided this person might be in intelligence without court case, without any kind of democratic process, and because of that, they've decided to annihilate civilians along with him, and it's all just collateral damage, and nobody should care. That is not a humanistic perspective, and that is disgusting. And any person in the West who is advocating for that is a hypocrite. Because if it was turned on them, if the American government said, we think the person in your shopping mall, one of the people you were shopping alongside in the mall, might have committed a crime. We didn't take them to court. We think they might have, so we killed your whole family. Get over it.
So the last time
is a clown and a hypocrite.
So the last time,
what do you expect full-grown men to do?
I'm about to respond.
What do you expect full-grown men to do when you kill all of their families and leave them locked in an open-air prison?
Let me respond. The last time that Jewish
people
faced an existential threat was in World War II, and the Nazis, who wanted to take over the world and kill every Jewish person, the Nazis were ultimately defeated by Winston Churchill leading the Allies. And Winston Churchill, in the process of defeating the Nazis, killed a lot of German innocent civilians in the process. Do you think that was justified?
Let me ask a question.
Was it? No, I asked the question.
He won't answer us.
Yeah, he's literally not answering shit.
I believe, and let me just get this right in my head.
Yeah, think about it.
No, I don't need to think about your question.
What?
I believe that
the number continues to go up every week, though. This is crazy, man.
What?
Remember, it was like 10,000 last week. It's at 13,000 people now.
13,000 what? Palestinians?
Yeah, civilians.
I ain't gonna lie, civilians get injured is bad.
It is.
It's very, very bad.
Advocating anything they did. It's disgusting, the Nazis. I'm glad we beat them. I'm actually a huge
Were they
fan.
terrorists?
Yeah, they were.
Right.
So
He answered
I
that
believe
one,
that they
So
were,
when you massacre Jewish people, you're terrorists.
Except
when you do it in Israel.
When you try and conduct genocide on a populace because you don't want
He
them
is
on
cooking
land
them. He
in
is
the
actually
state of
getting on
yours,
his ass.
then you are terrorists.
It's exactly what Hamas did on October
exactly
the 7th.
what Israel had did before that.
So you've literally just described what Hamas did.
You don't know that, buddy.
You just described what Israel do. They're trying to genocide the Palestinians as we speak. And this is the exact point.
So Israel...
No, but to sit here...
Hang on, so you think Israel are terrorists?
I think that what they're doing now is disproportionate and genocidal.
Is it terrorism?
It's genocidal, so I guess that makes it terrorism. It's
Right,
genocidal.
so they're terrorists for responding to an act of terror, but the people who committed the act of terror are not terrorists.
The way in which they're responding...
You see the
is
problem in that
proportionate.
argument?
That's the
Really?
It's contradictory.
Piers, what
This is
they are
pretty
doing now...
Slaughtering 1,500
Because he
people in the
said
way they
Israel
did
is
is not an
terrorists.
act of terror by terrorists.
But you can't say Hamas are terrorists, but you say Israel are
Yeah, that's
terrorists?
crazy. No, the fact that he keeps saying it's terroristic for responding.
They're doing acts of terror, yeah. So can you
a
admit,
terroristic response to a terrorist attack is basically what he's saying.
He probably
but he won't say that that's a terrorist attack. Why can't he even say that?
He probably
He's
looking
not
at,
even keeping it 100 at
he
all.
probably looking at the standpoint that, you know, Palestine was already there and they moved after World War II. They moved the Jewish people there. He probably looking at it in that type of
I
standpoint.
mean, yeah, I guess,
So
but like
I can
still.
see how he could say that's terrorism.
Yeah, I just got to see what happened before October 7th to me.
Can you look that up?
I've been
It's
trying to
like a
look it up.
timeline of stuff.
Yeah,
they still, they still have like a death count on each
Yusuf
side.
was
What is
kind
it
of
before
telling us
October
some
7th?
story. Oh, that's bad. I mean, from what Yusuf and other people that stand with Palestine have said, and some stuff on social media. There's some
They
stuff
said
that happened before October 7th, and it was pretty bad. That's what got me on the pro-Palestinian side, because I'm just seeing grandmothers and families just drug out their home, and they're saying you can't come back in your home type thing. Just taking their land, basically. So when I see that, I'm just like,
Dude, you know what's crazy? I saw one lady who celebrated what happened in Gaza, like when they.
Yeah, I've seen
I've
seen that too.
She was like when they came back and paraded. She celebrated like the October 7th stuff. She lived in Israel, and they came and showed her post. And they deported her back to Gaza. They said,
she
this is
hell
posted
yeah,
this.
that shit,
You got to get up out of here. Sent her back.
Hell yeah.
Man, so you think it's really
video?
I did not.
you think it's really true because of what happened at World War II, and they didn't know where to put the Jewish people, so they just made Israel right there in the middle.
Israel.
It
Israel's
wasn't
been
there.
though.
No,
The UN gave them that land.
they gave them
in
that land, then
1948.
turned it into Israel. That's what
So who
that's
was
what
in
the
Israel
stories you've
before
been saying.
the
Like,
Jews?
There was Palestine, but we
No,
as the
right?
U.S. don't recognize
That's-
Palestine as a nation.
But were they both there? I think they must
No,
have both
like
been there.
the
'Cause
story-
if you go in the Bible, there was Jews in Jerusalem.
Yeah, that's what the Bible said. But
But
I
they go in the
know
Old
after
Testament
World
too.
War II, like what story said was when Hitler killed a lot of the Jews in
Yeah, so,
Europe.
but that was in Germany, right?
It was all over Europe.
All over Europe, right.
And they said they didn't know where else to put them, so
The UN gave them that spot.
Yeah, I see that. But weren't there probably some there before that?
I have no idea.
we don't have no idea. It's probably just
Because in the
fully.
Bible, and if they go up the Old Testament, which both religions do, it says that there were Jews in Jerusalem. But they
Yeah.
weren't having peace.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't know, man. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all can hate me.
I remember also in the
I'm just trying to figure
Bible,
this shit out.
in the Bible, the Jews was enslaved in the Bible, so
They
they,
were.
probably didn't have that land too. So it could be all type of timelines in history that could go. It's all type of stuff.
It's so deep.
It's
See,
so
that's what
deep.
got me standing where I was standing though, because of the history. But I technically don't know the
We
history
don't know.
because
You know what I'm saying? I seen and saw all type of stuff. You know. So
Really?
Piers, what they are doing now.
Slaughtering 1,500 people in the way they did it is not an act of terror by terrorists, but a response from the people who are on the receiving end, rather like the response of
Didn't
the
you say
Allies
12 did you say
in World War
12,000
II
people?
to what the Nazis did. That apparently is the only act of terrorism.
Didn't you say 12,000 people the Israelis have killed thus far?
Yes.
I saw a video of a 15-year-old girl with no legs begging to die.
I did see
She was
that. She
begging
said
to
my
die,
life
saying,
is
I have
over.
no future because my parents
I
are
saw
gone and
that.
my legs are gone.
It's
I have no
horrific.
I saw that.
future.
That's terrible.
No, but you say that, right?
Terrible.
You talk about numbers and statistics, and you say a few people got
Terrible.
harmed. You don't think of Gazans and you don't think of as Muslims and Palestinians as individual people.
Oh, yes, I do.
No, you don't. Because
Oh,
if you
I do.
did, if
Oh,
you
I
did,
do.
if you did, you
Oh,
would
no,
not be happy with what's
don't you
happening.
dare
Piers.
say that about me.
Well, okay, then don't group them together in numbers.
No,
They're not numbers.
I've
They're people.
spoken for many years about the plight of the Palestinian people. I think it's outrageous that Israel has any control over their ability to function with water, with fuel, with other energy, and so on, and
Okay,
food, and so on.
that's interesting.
It is
So
wrong.
if you were in Gaza as a Gazan male of masculine fighting age, and you believed the things you currently believe, what would you do about it? I'm just asking.
You know what? Nothing justifies the
I ain't gonna lie,
terrorism.
that-
I never said you'd be a
That doesn't
terrorist. I'm
ju-
asking
he's
what
kind
you
of
do.
justifying it, but
I understand.
That was a
wasn't
good
gonna slaughter
point.
no
Palestine
baby in the
feel
crib.
oppressed.
Yeah, no,
I
facts.
Didn't do
understand
shit
why
to
they
me.
want
Facts,
freedom.
but that
I
was-
understand why they want the same rights.
Well, we're
as
not
the
in that
people
position,
Israel.
though.
Then here's a perfect.
On
then
that, we agree.
Absolutely,
but nothing,
we agree.
but nothing,
Still ain't gonna do that,
nothing
though. Yeah.
justifies what happened. on October
Well, here's
7th.
where
For
we,
no
here's where we
grandma,
disagree.
none of that.
don't know.
It doesn't matter.
We both agree on the point that the people inside of Gaza are being oppressed.
I know what
that
I
life
would
is
do.
being
I do.
detrimented,
Yeah.
And that they have no way of getting out.
Yes.
We, as a
You're
professional,
probably
And I do agree with that.
I understand pressure cookers explode. You're pretending they shouldn't. You're saying that they should never explode. Nothing bad should ever happen.
saying nothing justifies terrorism.
We should just be allowed to subjugate them
No,
for
no.
endless years
Here's
and
my-
nothing happens.
No.
And I'm a realist to understand that pressure cookers explode.
No, you're not.
And that's what
No,
happens.
you're not.
We need a solution to the problem, or it
Actually,
will continue to happen.
You're not a
is that the
realist
same thing
because
happened with Israel
actually
then, too?
you are not accepting that what they did on October the 7th was an act of terrorism by terrorists. You won't accept that. You think actually they're freedom fighters doing some kind of resistance. And I say
That's
that
how
is
it sounds.
ridiculous and shameful.
Exactly how it sounds.
That's the difference.
That is
between
exactly what he's
I
saying.
understand that pressure cookers explode, Piers.
How many times you gonna say
So
that?
you think it's perfectly
Damn.
reasonable what happened there?
I don't think it's reasonable. I think it's a shame.
Natural consequence.
Now
I think
it's
it's
the
a
same.
shame.
A shame. That's
I
it.
think it's a shame that we're living in the world now where people are reduced to basically suicide. to try and fight for freedom for their families if they have one left. Because they all committed suicide, those men who did that.
Well, the Hamas...
they didn't have a chance of survival. I think when you
Well, that's because they believe that they're martyring themselves and going to a better
when
life.
you oppress people to the point where their family's dead and they have nothing to live for. So I think that's a shame.
So do you support Islamic fundamentalism?
Absolutely not.
Do you support an Islamist ideology?
Absolutely not.
Right.
What I support...
So why do you support Hamas?
I support justice
Wow.
in the
You support
universe.
Hamas?
Why do you
I support
support
justice in
Hamas?
the universe.
Do you
Piers.
support Hamas?
No.
You don't?
Well,
won't
I don't know the
condemn
ins and
them,
outs
though.
of Hamas's creed. I have to be very honest.
Well, you know what they did on October the 7th?
condemn
Do you
them.
support them?
I understand why that happened, and I'm
Right.
saying it's a shame.
But you won't denounce them.
I say it's a shame.
Will you condemn them?
I can't sit here and condemn the obvious
Hold on,
outcome
pause.
of
Wow.
consequence.
Really?
How can I
You
condemn
can't
know this for a
condemn
fact
Hamas
right
for
here.
what they did.
I know for a fact that when Yusuf came on there, he said both the Islamic dudes, both said condemned Hamas. Both of them did. That's why you could hear their arguments because they did that. But if you can't admit that, then you just he's not at all. Not in the slightest.
He
struggling on
has
this
said
one.
though that like okay,
No, he
both
hasn't.
sides are wrong. He said it's
That's
wrong.
all he said is both sides wrong. It's a shame, but he won't call them a
Struggling on
terrorist
this
group.
one. He won't. He
And
literally won't. He's
he won't
literally
even-
still to this point.
Yeah.
Will has yet to do so. Like just condemn them. Just all you
It's
gotta
almost
say
like
is they terrorists.
he is standing with them. He's standing with Hamas, not Palestine, Hamas.
I can't sit here and condemn the obvious
Wow.
outcome of
Wow.
consequence.
Really?
How can I condemn?
You can't condemn Hamas for what they did.
Well, we know what's going to happen, and we need a solution.
You're
here.
very quick to condemn Israel's response, but you won't condemn the terror attack which prompted it.
No, I'll tell you why.
Even though Hamas knew by doing
Oh
what
shit!
they
He
were
said
doing,
no.
that would be the response.
Do you think they knew that?
Of course they
Of course they knew that. Damn it!
They did it quite
Damn
clearly.
dummy.
You know why?
Damn
Because they were
dummy.
Funded and supported by Iran. They didn't like the fact that Israel was normalizing relations with a bunch of Arab countries, from the UAE to Bahrain to Morocco, and then coming down the line was going to be Saudi Arabia. That was a threat to the Iran view of what should be happening in that region. Iran are the ones who support and fund and arm Hamas, and they clearly, in my estimation, it hasn't been properly established yet, but clearly Hamas couldn't have done this on their own. They've done it with support from Iran, and they've gone and committed an act of such heinous atrocity that they knew what the response would be, and that means that they sentenced in that moment not just 1,500 people in Israel to death in the most appalling manner possible, but they also sentenced to death thousands and thousands of innocent Palestinians, including many innocent children, because half the population are children, and Hamas knew that was what was going to happen. So my question is, how can anyone think that Hamas is a force for good for the Palestinian people?
Good.
They are a force
I said they're
for evil.
unfortunate. No, I didn't say they're a force for good. I said it's a pressure cooker and it's a shame.
But you won't even condemn them.
Let me ask the question. Do you think if we gave the Palestinian people basic human rights, that Hamas would find it more difficult to recruit new soldiers?
I think
Probably. Probably if we treat them like humans, this won't happen.
I think
so we agree and let's move on.
I think there's a real danger in
So why
the
you ain't been
scale
fighting
of
for them this whole
Israel's
time,
response
Andrew?
that you radicalize a whole new generation
Agreed.
of Palestinians. I think that's a real danger.
So
and
perhaps-
by the way, I've said that. We can agree on
So
that.
perhaps it was Israel's actions before October 7th that radicalized the soldiers who invaded. So you agree with me. So let's move on.
No, I don't. No, nothing
You just
justifies what they did.
I
Let me
can't
ask you about
justify
the
what
reaction
they
that
did.
you had
Hell no.
from
I literally
certain
can't.
people who I think at one
Like,
stage
their situation
you
is
had
bad,
a
but it don't
good
justify that.
relationship with. One is Jordan
At all.
Peterson, and the other one Ben Shapiro. Let's talk about Jordan first.
Sure.
You've had a bit of a to and fro with him, but what is your view of him?
I think Jordan and I actually agree on many issues. I think the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I think we have a lot more in common than we have that we disagree on. We have different views of the world. The things he says are pretty well thought through and pretty constructive. I have nothing against the guy.
Let me turn to Ben Shapiro. He said, let me assure you, as someone who's not pimped women and bragged about it, the morality...
Talk about peace. He calls for the death of civilians, and somehow we're asking why my point of view is seen as abstract.
I believe if he was sitting here listening to this, he would say that what he's screaming for...
For other people's young men to go and die in some war. He seems to love it. I don't know if he has short man.
Many of the same positions and flexing his biceps. Listen, everyone should be able to tweet whatever it is they want. I'm all for an open discourse, even with...
The things he says are pretty well thought through and pretty constructive. I have nothing against the guy.
Let me turn to Ben Shapiro. He said, let me assure you, as someone who's not pimped women and bragged about it, that morality requires that those who rape women and kidnap women must be eradicated, not negotiated with. He says, on my show, I won't be lectured on morality and toughness by Andrew Tate. his great idea of toughness and morality is pimping women and bragging about it on air, and then trying to quasi-walk it back while simultaneously maintaining many of the same positions and biceps. Listen, everyone should be able to tweet whatever it is they want. I'm all for an open discourse.
He called him
people who I think are dead wrong on a lot of issues, but Andrew Tate is dead wrong on a lot of these issues.
He told him he a
The
Twitter boy,
particularly
basically.
ridiculous posturing about being yes, you're very tough when you want people to make peace with terrorists who just murdered their children. Very, very tough. What do you say to that?
So Ben is a warmonger. Ben has been wrong on basically every single issue you can name. He was with you with the vaccine and every other war. Ben is always calling for other people's young men to go and die in some war. He seems to love it. I don't know if he has short man syndrome, but he's always behind his desk calling about how important it is that
How
big,
tall is
strong
Ben
men like
Shapiro?
him die. And the reason he tweeted that and said that is because when Hamas and Israel, at the very early in the conflict, I think it was 3 days in, were discussing possible peace talks, he tweeted, no, absolutely not, fuck them, kill them all. And I said, Ben, as a man who's done his own fighting, because I've had a life of pain and violence, listen to me.
Do we know that
Peace
for
is
real?
always worth a conversation. What I said is
in
that
the
we should
boxing ring.
always be prepared to
talk about
at least discuss peace. He, because he's a warmonger, said, no, peace is not worth a conversation. You're this, you're that, da-da. Because he's always sitting behind his desk. He must have a booster chair, and he's always running his mouth trying to invoke violence and call for war. And I find it kind of hypocritical because a man who's so small he would die if he was slapped on the street, sitting behind a desk and screaming for other people to be annihilated, I think is kind of, it's worse than
I actually
hypocritical.
think, I believe...
It's insane.
I believe if he was sitting here listening
Now, Ben
to this,
was
he would
tweeting
say
on
that
Twitter,
what
I
he's
can't lie.
speaking for is for Jewish people in Israel to defend themselves. And
All
he's a Jewish
Ben
man.
does is call for war. And I agree. Defending yourself
That's not all he does.
That's all he does.
It's
and
not.
calling for war and defending yourself is very different than genocide. And Ben, like I said, overall, most of Ben's worldviews and mine probably align. We don't align on the religious sect, we don't rely on the religious points. Fine. But our overall worldviews about how society should function probably align on many of the key issues. I don't have a beef with Ben, and I don't watch his show, and I have no idea what he talks about a lot of the time. But what I do know is that every time I turn it on, he's calling for someone else's son to go and die in a ditch somewhere for his interests. And I don't like people who are not advocates for peace. Blessed are the peacemakers, said Candace, who is far more intelligent than Ben will ever be.
Peacemakers like
Completely
Hamas.
Candace.
He replied that
Candace said that.
rhetoric, starting an argument with me, when I said we should talk about peace. I say we should talk about peace. He calls for the death of civilians, and somehow...
Brock, you acting like he teaming up with Hamas, though.
Bro, he literally won't condemn them.
Bro,
he
it's
literally-
just like it's like a question. Like,
But
do you
yeah,
see their side or
it's
you
yes
don't
or
see
no.
their
Okay,
side?
bro, but all
No,
you
that
gotta
wasn't
say,
the
all he
question.
gotta say is Hamas is a terrorist organization. That's all you say.
No, just condemn them.
Then
No,
he
you
did-
don't- he just condemned them. Like
That's
everybody
all,
else did
that's
on
all
the
you
show.
had to say,
No,
bro.
he said
couldn't do
that
that.
killing innocent people was wrong.
But
he
he
won't
didn't,
condemn
he
Hamas
didn't, he didn't
specifically.
He won't
condemn
call
them.
He
them
don't want to
terrorists,
condemn
bro.
them because
Why
he
can't you
thinks that
condemn them?
what they did was
Justifiable.
A
Bro,
retaliation.
that's what he's saying.
He was
He's
trying
saying
to
what
say,
they did was justifiable.
Well,
that's what
they
he's
just
saying.
did that because they were trapped in a prison and
exactly.
oppressed, bro.
He's saying they did that.
Are they
It's
terrorists?
justified.
Yes or no? That's all you gotta say. Yes or no. You don't need to answer with
He
all that
said
extra
yes,
shit.
move on. Just like the other people. Now they can talk. But he did not do that.
He literally
so that's
won't
why
do it. He literally won't do it, bro. Like he literally won't do it. It's actually frustrating me that he
asking
wouldn't do
why
it.
my point of view is seen as abstract. It's insane.
Just condemn
Why can't we all
terrorism.
just sit down and say the fighting must end? Why can't we do that? Why can't we sit and say
That is true.
nobody should be
We
dying?
said that at
Let's
first.
Stop using
We getting
the most
cooked for
advanced
that.
military weaponry on the planet to blow the limbs off children. Why can't we say that without being deemed some
Why
kind
do
of
you- why
terrorist
do you care-
sympathizer
That is
or
true.
anti-Semite?
Why do
It's
you-
insanity. Trump
whoa.
came along
That's
and
the
didn't
first
start
point.
a single war. He's the
What
only
did he
one
say?
who didn't. And
That's
they're
the
going to come
first
along
point
and
he
say
made
making him a
right
bad
there.
guy. When a new president comes in, it's just endless war and death and killing. Have you seen a dead body, Piers? That. Why can't we sit and say, nobody should be dying, let's stop using the most advanced military weaponry on the planet to blow the limbs off children? Why can't we say that without being deemed some
Why
kind
do
of
you- why
terrorist
do you care-
sympathizer
why-
or anti-Semite?
why do
It's
you-
insanity. Trump came along
That
and
was the
didn't
first
start a
point he
single
made, I
war.
won't lie.
He's the only one who didn't. And they're going to come along him and make him a bad guy. When a new president comes in, it's just endless war and death and killing. Have you seen a dead body, Piers? Have you seen people lose a fucking limb? It's disgusting. I know what's happening over there.
Have you seen that?
I don't need to tell you about the parts of my history that I'm not prepared to share, Piers.
You've
But
seen
I
it.
said
You ain't
I
gangster.
said people
Oh,
die.
y'all gotta chill, man. Y'all don't know what this man been through, man.
We don't, but he
just
be
funny.
staying high like he's such a gangster and this
It's
man
just
trying to kill
funny,
him
bro.
and all this, man. I just don't know, man.
I enjoy Andrew Tate sometimes,
love
but
Andrew
that
Tate.
shit, like,
Let's
bro,
keep it
this,
a hundred. But we
this
don't
whole-
act like he's
this
just
whole
so gutter,
jumping
bro.
out of planes and shit.
Like he really act like he really gutter
No,
for
he
real.
might act like it, but we don't know where he been. And
We
where
don't,
he
we
from.
don't.
No.
I'm just saying, though.
It's just funny. That, like,
is.
it's just funny. It's like, come on, bro. Like, We don't fucking know, and you won't
We
speak
don't,
on
we
it,
don't,
so
we
we have no
don't.
idea. But
So
like,
say it then, if that's what it is.
that's what I'm saying. But like, real talk though, the point he made, he said, "How can you not say like you want children to stop dying with explosives without being deemed a terrorist, a sympathizer, or anti-Semite?" I think that was the best thing he said. Because,
that's a good
because
point.
when people say they don't want this to happen, you're either with Hamas or you're against Jewish people. I'm neither of those things.
That's what I'm saying.
I support Jewish people.
Me too.
And I just don't want children to die.
We said that on the first
I'm
video.
not sympathizing with terrorists.
They wanted us to pick
I
a side.
support terrorism.
They want us to pick a side.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm
No
not
matter
picking
what,
no side.
we gonna
It's
get
bad.
grilled. Because if you gonna get grilled, whatever you say on this by somebody.
Gosh. That was the best thing he said
It's
all
funny
this
to
whole
me.
interview,
I
this
said
entire
people who've
interview.
done
We just
their own
want
fighting,
peace.
seen their own violence and have seen people bleed out in the street from a stab wound are not going to be so smart and so quick to sit behind a desk and call for the death of innocent people. It's disgusting what's happening. I don't want anyone to die on either side. And when I come along as a peacemaker and say this is insane, because he's a warmonger, because he has chosen blinkers and sees one side of the argument and refuses to accept the humanity of Palestinians, he says I'm a bad person for calling for peace.
Well, you know why? Because he'll probably listen to this interview and say, this guy can't even describe Hamas as terrorists.
If Ben Shapiro thinks bad of
And
me,
if you don't think what happened to the
Got
people
your
of
ass.
Israel, October the 7th, is an act of terrorism,
did I not just say
then you are
I want all people
then
to
you
stop
are just
dying?
you are just as partisan to one side as you believe Ben Shapiro
Did
is
I
to the
not
other.
just say I
That's
want
facts.
all people to stop dying? Piers, don't interrupt this. It's 2
Nah, I
seconds.
can't say that,
I want
bro.
all
He
people to
is.
stop dying.
Just
You can't
say
say
that
just on the other side
I
is
Just say it was a
Piers on the
terrorist
other
attack.
side.
That's all you have to say.
A pressure cooker. That is my
Thousands
answer.
of
It's
innocent
extremely
people died.
professional. I don't want anyone
On October
to
the
die.
7th.
Because I don't want anyone to die, because I'm a peacemaker, because I'm a humanist, I understand you cannot lock people in an open air prison for an undetermined period of time
Pause.
without provoking terrorism.
So out of interest, what would you have
Pause.
done if you'd been Israel after October?
All bro got to say, that's all he's saying. He's saying, bro, they about to use that against you. He's right. Literally, his whole argument is valid because he won't say that Hamas is a terrorist group and he won't say what happened on October 7th was a terrorist attack. He's saying, well, that happened because of this. Well, it's a terrorist attack.
Yeah.
Why the freak won't you say that? Oh, what they're doing is them is a genocide, it's terroristic. Okay, that two things can be true at once.
Exactly.
That could be a terrorist attack and what they're doing can be bad.
Exactly.
But if you won't acknowledge the fact that that was bad, but you just acknowledge that's bad,
Exactly.
your argument is
No,
invalid.
no, because look, all I'm
Your
saying
whole
is
claim is invalid.
And what Piers said is basically you are like how Ben Shapiro is hard on this side, you're hard on the other side because you won't even admit that.
Literally.
And that's a fact. You can't say that he's just sitting here.
1,500 people
If-
died
keep it
on
honest. Is he sitting here
October
with
the
a
7th.
non-bias? Everyone has a little bit of bias. We just gonna be honest. Everyone has a little bit of bias. He has a bias. We all got bias. He got a bias. Okay. Keep it 100.
What's my bice?
Bro, you just say you pro-Palestine.
Yeah. So that's your bias.
That's your bias.
Yeah.
I'm really in the middle, bro.
Me too.
I can't even choose a side.
I'm
but-
not choosing a
But
side.
at the end of the day,
I
it's
want,
still.
I want what's
I-
bad. I want this shit to stop happening. Did you hear the video he said of the little girl with her legs blow off? She said
talking about
she was
R2?
begging to die. That
That's
shit is
fucked up.
horrible. People keep tagging me and children with their faces and
Me too.
limbs, but I'm tired of it.
Me too.
I want it to stop, but
Aren't you biased off how you view something, right?
bro, you're biased
You
because
bias
you're
off
picking
predetermined things that make you view things a certain way.
Yeah. Yes.
And yes, viewing it.
So
Okay,
I
predetermined
viewed
things.
something and
I'm going to say this. I'm gonna say this.
But you and your
viewed
life
it-
experiences make you view things a certain way, and me and my life experiences make me view things a certain way. Same thing with Andrew. Same thing with Ben. That's what I mean when everybody has a bias. Everyone does,
Yeah.
based on their life experiences before this,
Yeah.
and that's how they see things with a perspective.
I'll say this. What happened on October 7th was a terrorist attack. It was horrible. 1,500 innocent people died in Israel. That was horrible. When you see the video of them parading around after what happened, celebrating, you think that didn't piss Israel off? You think they didn't see that shit? Oh boy, they coming back with some firepower. And they done blew shit out of proportion.
And I really don't think
it's
that-
bad. It's horrible.
I don't think that
People keep
Hamas
saying-
knew what
people
was
keep
gonna
trying to
happen.
tell me that's the only way to stop Hamas. Well, I just feel like there has to be a better way.
Yeah,
There's so
that's
many
an argument
civilian
that we can hear.
casualties.
That is an argument that there can be definitely.
There has to be.
That is what we got to talk about.
I feel like at some point, like I
Was
feel
the
like the
response, you know?
initial response was 100% justified. A terrorist attack just occurred on your soil. Innocent people lost their lives. Then you see a video of people parading in the street after this shit happened. Okay, they may be oppressed. They may be living bad lives. But what just happened was bad.
Yeah.
So when you respond, their initial response was justified. But here we are in November, what is it, the 20th, 21st?
Yes, yeah.
This shit happened October the 7th. They still blowing shit up. A month and a half later. Damn. At what point do we say enough is enough? That's all I said. Like,
Yeah, and I can hear the
can we
argument.
please have peace?
I can hear the argument.
Can we please have
But
peace
I cannot
now?
hear the argument that they are not a terrorist group.
I don't think, that's
Can we
insane.
please have peace?
That's why I can't hear shit that he says.
Can we please come to a resolution? Please. I understand that you cannot sympathize with terrorists. You cannot negotiate with terrorists. I completely understand. But you can't keep killing innocent people. And we don't know who Hamas is. We don't. There's literally no way to know. But there has to be a better way. There's literally children dying. 50% children, and they're blowing everything up. Children are dying.
I think that
people who are born there with no control over that are dying.
By definition,
that is bad.
I think by definition he knows that they're a terrorist. But
why won't he say it?
Bro, why won't he say it though?
I don't know why.
Because he still believes
His point will contradict him what he's saying though. That's why he won't say it.
Bro,
exactly.
He's basically saying like, okay,
if you do this to them, this is what happens. Okay, when you do that to them, that's what happens.
We unlock all the gates of the damn zoo and all the monkeys kill us. Or the damn lions kill us. They've been, they're going to do it regardless. But you know what I'm saying? That's like locking people up and, not thinking they're going to retaliate. That's what his point is.
Okay, and then the other point is if you bomb and kill 1,500 people, then the people who did that knew. Did you think the Hamas people were like, they just gonna let this ride?
They definitely do.
They knew damn well what's gonna happen. Why nobody talking about that?
Because they was ready for everybody to die. They was like, okay.
So they didn't care about their people. They didn't care about their people.
The world is bad anyway.
You did not care about your people.
He said
if I go over there,
bad anyway.
Let's think like this. Look, let's think like this, right? If everybody in this house, right? I love everybody in this house. If I go over there and if they wrong me, right? They wrong me. But if I go over there and I bomb them, and I do it, they gonna blow everybody in this house up. But I don't give a damn because they wrong me. Am I wrong for that?
Yes.
But his point is that they didn't oppress you.
Bro, what the hell?
That's like, okay, but
what the hell?
Okay. So that's like
the 1,500 people.
That's like them goddamn capturing you.
No.
And
because something happened to the October 7th happened.
Capturing you,
act like
harming
that
you, did something to your family, and you go over there and retaliate, and you just
okay. So look,
you crashed out.
So look,
they crashed out basically.
So look, so that's like
okay. So that's
okay.
Now
so say somebody did something to my family, right?
Yeah.
Somebody over there they did something to my family, right? And it was messed up, and I want them dead. But everybody in this house will die if I go do something.
Yeah.
Am I wrong if I do something and kill all y'all? Because y'all didn't do shit. But I knew that if I did this, you would die. I know you'll die. This got nothing to do with you. Am I wrong? Yes or no?
Yes or no? You're definitely wrong.
Okay.
Yes, you're definitely wrong. They're definitely wrong. I'm not saying that they're right, but I'm saying I gotta see their point on why it happened.
And you would say, you see my point. My dad, or whoever got killed, so that's why I wanted to kill them. You would say that, right?
I would see your point. I would see your point.
Okay, but then you would also say, if I'm gonna get my whole family killed doing that, then I probably shouldn't do that, right?
No, you shouldn't do that.
Okay.
You should do it a different way.
Okay.
But I mean,
you gotta remember, I'm gonna keep it 100. It's kind of hard to say that because they still had a parade full of people like cheering. So, so it's, you can't. I don't know how you can choose. It's two. It's like,
two sides, man.
and we're not people get there. All we seeing is videos. So everybody controlling what they want to see.
Yes.
So we seeing
this. That's right.
So like,
right.
And we physically
finish the video,
there.
fellas.
It's just
we're not finished. It was a great interview. I mean, I don't know, man.
I praise the Lord to
this interview than the other one.
You know, Andrew Tate. Usually is a well-spoken guy that makes points, but this interview he made one point, and I did agree with it. How can you not call? You can't call for peace in this situation without them saying you're a terrorist sympathizer or you're anti-Semitic. I think that is a problem. I also think that Piers. Told him up, man. I'm sorry.
I agree.
This is one time. This is one of the interviews where I was like, Piers, Piers did good, bro. I ain't gonna lie, Piers did his thing. Because when he was with what's bro name with the glasses? The intellectual dude.
Yeah.
He did. I don't think he's still on. No, not Bassem. The one after that.
You talking about Bean dude?
With the beard. With the beard. With the glasses.
I forgot his name. Damn it.
He came.
I think he did a good job. But you know this one. I think.
The younger dude.
The academic, the Muslim guy who does YouTube.
Remember?
Oh, go.
What was his name?
I don't remember.
Damn it.
But we all know who we're talking about.
Muhammad?
Muhammad something.
Yeah,
he did his thing, man. I think Muhammad came in and stood on business. But now I think Piers.
He's a different perspective.
I think Piers did a great job this time. I think he stood on principle, and I think Andrew Tate was talking in circles and not making points. And I think he had a hard time this time. And I think Piers did a good thing.
What do the comments say about this?
He made one good point though. Just one good point. Why you can't call for peace without getting labeled?
That was a good point.
I can't read that.
Let's just say that Piers wakes up every day in the middle of the night and screams, "Do you condemn a terrorist attack by Hamas on October 7th?"
He do ask that question.
Because it's a valid question.
It's a valid question. Because you got to know what.
Pressure cookers explode, but you are pretending they shouldn't. Andrew dropped the gym.
Well, I mean,
and I'm gonna keep it 100, bro. I agree with everything.
Then Israel did the same thing.
I agree with everything Andrew Tate said, bro.
I agree with everything Pierce said.
Besides him not condemning Hamas,
I just think him not condemning
dumb as hell.
Hamas. I think him not condemning Hamas and saying what happened on the October 7th was bad. I don't know if he did say it. I just remember him like kind of dancing around that question, both of those questions. I think that just made his whole argument valid. Like, all you gotta do to establish a good argument, establish your point and your credibility. Is to say that was bad. That's all you gotta do. That's all you gotta do. If he would have been like, yeah, that's bad, but it happened because of this. I'm like, okay, well, at least you said that was bad, but he wouldn't even do that. So now it's like, bro.
I think that we looking at stuff from a biased standpoint too, though, bro. Because I mean, we saying that
I'm not though.
We're not. But like
he for sure not.
I'll say it's terrorists.
We're not.
I'll say their land have been stolen.
Like,
we don't know. That's what I'm saying. We're biased because we don't know technically what has happened to them at all.
So
we do not know what has happened to them.
So they say they stole their land, right? So do we steal the Native Americans' land?
Hell yeah.
So they should be able to spin on us then.
Hell yeah.
All right, that's what y'all believe in.
Hell yeah.
Right.
Anybody that has been done wrong, you have the right to spin regardless.
All right, well, the Native
if you
Americans,
kill anybody that I love, if you harm me, I'm spinning.
So when the Native Americans bomb your house, they say, well, your ancestors took my land. You can't be mad.
Can't be mad.
Nigga, we were slaves. We ain't
I can't be mad at all.
He got green eyes. He got white in him.
I can't be mad at all.
Well, yeah, to be honest with you, I wouldn't be mad at all.
I can't be mad at all.
We did.
Nigga, I'd be pissed the fuck off.
Yeah,
I know you would.
You sit here saying if your family died, you wouldn't be mad. That's dumb shit.
I'll be hot.
You said, oh, they're right for killing my family.
I'll be hot, but I understand why they blew my shit up.
I understand.
Hey, the fact y'all just debunked it, y'all show me all I need to know right there. I wouldn't be mad if my family died because we hurt the Native Americans. That's what y'all just said. That's what y'all just said. That's what y'all just said.
Listen to me. I grew up being taught literally this. This is something that somebody told me, look at me in my eyes. Have you ever heard that you are, what did they say? You are responsible for everything that, if anything happens, like if I do something, and your family's responsible. That's basically what I was told. If I go out and do something, your family's responsible. If my dad goes out and go kill a family or kill somebody, I don't know, that family can come and slaughter my whole family. That is what I grew up and taught. I promise you.
You was taught wrong, bud.
This is what it is, though.
So then you can condone all the gang violence and everything that happened in Chicago and LA and everywhere, and New Orleans and everywhere, because they killed their homie. So you killed my brother, so I'm spinning. And that is never ending cycle ever.
You kill my homie, I'm gonna kill you.
Okay, but that's not gonna work because your ass go.
I'm gonna go to jail. Yeah,
is the homie gonna come back alive?
I'm the problem, but that's the problem with the whole world. You kill somebody,
you literally just sat here and said that if the Native Americans came and bombed your whole family, you wouldn't be upset. That is a lie.
I'll be upset, but I'll be understanding.
I'll be upset. That is a lie. I grew up on. So these are the principles they grew up on.
Well, I was always told somebody put their hands on.
If my dad goes do something to a gangster ass group and they come and slaughter my whole family
and kill your daughter in the bed, you gonna say that's what she deserves, right?
At the same time,
your daddy did that.
At the same time, yes, I believe babies should be spared. But you know, hey, if that's a whole nother group,
war,
and it's another group of men, it's done.
So if your daddy did something right, and your brother off at school or floor or whatever, they go kill that nigga for what your daddy did. Your brother deserved it, right?
That is what I was taught.
Say yes or no. He deserved it, right?
He does.
Yes or no.
He does not deserve it. He does not deserve it. But that's what I was taught. That happens.
So
that happens.
So I can't agree with you at all, bud.
I don't agree with that logic. But that's what I was taught.
Okay, but I'm telling you, what you was taught is wrong.
So these niggas gangsters, and a lot of my family was gangsters. So nigga, they tell me, hey, that's what happened. If I go do something, that's gonna happen. Because that's why gangsters grew up. Nigga, that's mobsters grew up like that.
And the gangster life is the life you want to live.
Hell
that works.
I said it was wrong.
We see that works.
That is what I was. I mean, hey,
we see the gangster life works. Yeah. So let's think like them and do how they do. That works.
Look, all this is wrong, guys.
Well, I was always told somebody put their hands on me.
That's a different thing.
Put your hands on them.
That's defending yourself, bro. That's apples to oranges, bro.
But hey,
that's different. You know. But
if I was also told like. My grandma always preach, wherever you do in your street, follow you back home. That's a cardinal sin. So,
that's just street life, though. That's street life. That happened in Honeycomb Brazy. It's grandma got blew up.
Yeah.
In a house, they put that bit on fire. What's something he did.
So you justify that?
Hell no.
But it's understood.